Hello and welcome to this short video about Jaguar XK8 fitting the new timing kit. This is episode 21 in my series of videos explaining how I change my cam chains, tensioners, guides and chains. And at this point I'm actually fitting the new set. First of all, reviewing the tools you're going to need roughly. You're going to need your timing kit. Obviously the only two tools you need in this is this sprocket tensioner tool and your wedges. Everything else you don't need. I use Loctite on the small bolts, not on the larger sprocket bolts. M10 Allen key socket, M8, M10, M15 sockets, a ratchet and a torque bar to set the torques. So I started on the left hand side timing gear. This is because that chain is the furthest most on the crankshaft sprocket, so you need to put that one on first. So pick up the left hand secondary chain tensioner. These are different. There is left hand stamped on the other side of this tensioner. So, and you'll need a short set of bolts. I applied a little bit of Loctite. There's too much here, but a little bit of Loctite is a good idea, I think. And fitting them 8mm socket up to 12-14 Newton meters. These the two bolts here, fairly straightforward. Then I fitted the left hand secondary chain. I took the small exhaust sprocket off here, took it completely off, fed the chain round the VVT sprockets, and then fitted the exhaust or the small sprocket back on, and you get it something like this. Next is to fit the left-hand primary chain guide, the lower guide. There's a small bolt here, 8mm socket again, 14 Newton meters. Then you have to put this tensioner tool in to make sure you get good access. I removed the ABS brake cover here to get the lever to move into this area. Now the tension you're going to apply to the chain on the drive side, it means the lever is going to come upwards. So you need to bear that in mind when you get in position. Okay, so I had the very early VVT units where there's no markings on the outside. They're very smooth on the outside, and I had to work out how to advance and retard this. So I check it's fully retarded. There's no access hole in here or holes to turn the inner unit. So I was trying to work out. Now retard is clockwise, I believe, and advance is anti-clockwise. So you need to make sure this main cog here is fully clockwise as possible. Now, to do this, I did ask the Jaguar forum, and I got some advice there to basically try and turn it with some grips. And the method I used actually was to get a rubber mallet, actually because the cam is locked, and actually try and tap it. Well, I tapped it clockwise until it was fully retarded. You can actually check this because when you tap it the other way, anti-clockwise, and hold it, you can move it and then release it, and it goes back to retard. I've got a short video here to show you how I did it. Sorry. Here we go. Sorry about that. So here, give it a quick tap, 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 advance, tap, 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 back to retard. Now that seems to work. Just show that again. Sorry. So I'm tapping the top sprocket with a mallet to advance it, check it, and it comes back to the retard position. So I'm pretty happy that that sprocket is fully retarded. It's a bit of a rough thing to do, sorry. Then actually I fitted the left-hand side primary chain. Here you just feed the chain over the lower sprocket and then feed it over the upper one. I'll show them when you're taking it apart. This bit of the casting at the top here will foul, so you have to pull both sprockets off or all the way out with bolts attached to get the sprocket to clear that bit. Then you fit the primary left-hand side primary tensioner guide. The one bolt here, the one where you have to add the nut on, you need to make sure you got the right one. It's a 15mm socket up to about 16 Newton meters. Then fit its tensioner. Again, 2 short bolts with a little bit of Loctite. 8mm socket, 12 Newton meters. They look something like this. They're the same for both sides, so you don't have to worry about it being different. Then actually, you have to fit the primary chain tensioner. This is showing the right-hand side, sorry, but you have to do a similar thing on the left-hand side. And then you can tighten up your sprockets. So first of all, you tighten up the small or the exhaust sprocket. You apply a little bit of tension here to take the slack out of the drive side of the chain, which is lower here and the lower here. So pull that and then tighten this sprocket up to 115 Newton meters up to 125 Newton meters. It's a 10mm Allen key socket there. Then you actually do the same thing again, trying to hold some tension on the chains, not too much with the tool, and then tighten up the VVT sprocket or inlet cam sprocket. Here there are 2 types. On my older cam chain unit, sorry, VVT unit, you need to tighten it up to the same as the other sprocket, but on the newer type, it's only up to 14 Newton meters plus 90. Okay. Then you move to basically do exactly the same on the right hand side, or as I did exactly the same on the right hand side. So again, get the secondary tensioner, small shorter bolts, fit it to the unit, similar idea as before. Then fit the left hand side chain. Again, you've got to take this small exhaust sprocket off, feed the chain over the VVT unit sprockets, and then put the other sprocket back in, making sure it's reasonably tight on this side, because this is the drive side on the right hand side. Then you fit the right hand side guide, again 1 bolt 8mm socket. And then similarly, you need to check that the tool from this side is able to tension, or you've got a good grip. Make sure the socket's orientated, the sprocket's orientated, so that in this case you're trying to tension this side of the chain and this side, so you're going to move it anti-clockwise. Again, you need to check the retard and advance position, so make sure it's fully retarded. We did the same idea as I did showed on the left hand side. Then you fit the right hand side primary chain. Again, you actually I took the bottom sprocket off and fed the chain over the top, and then put the lower sprocket back on. It's reasonably easy doing that. Then fit the right hand side primary tensioner guide. Again, 15mm socket, 16 Newton meters. Then fit the right hand side primary tensioner, again identical to the other side. Then you actually fit the chain tensioner wedges again to make sure you got all the tension correct on the primary chain. Then you tighten up the bolts. So again, it's the same as the left hand side, so you've got to apply a bit of tension on the lever to take the slack out of the drive side of the chains, which are here and here, and again tighten up to 115, 125 Newton meters with a 10mm Allen key. So I'll do the exhaust sprocket or the small sprocket first, and then the VVT unit afterwards. Again, depending on which VVT unit you've got, it's a different torque setting, so please be careful. I chose the higher setting. Then once you've done that, all the timing gears on, you need to put the VVT brackets on. My earlier design ones have 3 bolts, one on the right hand side and 2 bolts on the left hand side. Each one is timed up to 19 to 23 Newton meters. When you fit these, please make sure, I made sure the seals were lubricated, a bit of old engine oil on them before I put them in. There's a a seal in the VVT unit itself, and one which butts against the oil feed. Okay, so once you've done that, in theory everything's gone great. Remove the cam locking tools from the left and right hand side, and then remove the crankshaft lock. Take it out, check that it's still aligned, nothing's gone wrong, and then use an 8mm socket or spanner up to 10 Newton meters to fit the crankshaft position sensor. Okay, once you've done all that, you can take all your chain tensioner retainer pins out, and everything's done. Oh, hopefully, touch wood, everything's gone okay. That's basically how I did mine. It's not necessarily a how-to guide, it's more of a case of this is how I did mine, and hopefully I did it okay. Only time will tell. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe if you'd like to see more XK8 videos.